everyone, and welcome to Afternoon Tea. We have some authors who are coming out to chat. We have myself, who is author and person running Hearthcon, who is out to chat. And I thought everybody could start with the fact that this is my teacup, and I love it because my general rule after I ran out of cupboard space is I'm only allowed to buy goblet-shaped mugs. Because they're harder to find, so they limit my desire to frivolously spend money on pottery. And so for my husband's Jolly, I'm just going to be making him a quick cup of chocolate chai. This gives people the chance to pop in, because as I'm sitting here, I'm not posting the links to Reddit. Wink, wink, husband. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Or any of that. And so, yes, I have boiling water because I was on ball for this. And his mug says, "Let's get cozy." Aww. It used to be very discernible, and then it went into the dishwasher every single time for the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. My husband really loves just like a nice chai, a nice chocolate, a nice turmeric. He was having turmeric this morning. I am a chaos gremlin. So for mine, we're going to use at least one type of edible glitter. Wait, no.
Okay.
I want the other edible glitter. Husband, summon me glitter. It's okay.
I went with chai. Chai is excellent.
I could use this. This one is honeybush, which is the edible glitter that is not caffeinated, which I guess is fine. White chocolate and honeybush with rose petals. And I will dump some of that in here. And it has, how many types? It has 3 types of edible glitter. Because,
wow.
Yeah. And
because 2 wasn't enough.
2 was not enough. And then for this panel, we're going to start with just a basic nettle harvested from just around the corner by some farm stand that I randomly go to get. And then some deadhead nettle, which is like nettle, but it's the purple nettle deadheads. Yeah. After we talk about our tea, we will talk about our books. So while I'm struggling, does anybody want to tell me what you're drinking?
I am drinking. Oh, I'll
go ahead.
I'll interrupt my husband there.
No.
I am drinking spearmint tea. Yeah, nothing nearly so exciting as nettle. I'm afraid I've never tried nettle tea. That sounds very interesting.
It's like it has the undertone flavor of a peppermint, but without any of the mint. So just like that, the really earthy vibes. My favorite combination is actually nettle and blackberry leaf tea. There used to be an old granny witch. She was like 87 last time I chatted with her, and she used to sell these little jars of hand harvested and dried nettle leaves and blackberry leaves, and I would mix and match them. And then she retired. So now I am driving through random countryside farm stands, picking up my nettle tea, and I'm traveling afar. But you can buy on Amazon medicinal, like traditional medicinals nettle tea. And that's really nice as a starter because it's not really flavorful. It's just a gentle introduction.
I actually believe that Susan's spearmint tea is traditional medicinals.
Yeah, that's the brand. Yeah.
So, I am drinking a British tea called Winter Glow. It is a mostly just a black tea with a little bit of orange and a little bit of cinnamon, but it tastes like the holidays, all wrapped up in one little cup of this.
Yeah, you have to show off your mug too. Our friends got him this mug.
Nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
it fits too.
I put the points in, so you know.
I love it.
That's delicious.
This is chai tea. It's just a basic one from Trader Joe's, which I like that one quite a bit. But
I've never had Trader Joe's tea, but I have tried the Trader Joe's viral dumpling bake recipe. And then I ate it every night for a week because it was spectacularly delicious and deserved to be viral. Yeah. Highly recommend. especially if you like dumplings, because it's like a curry base, and you put the dumplings on top, and then you cover it with like the curry base is coconut milk and ginger and garlic and red curry paste. So
That sounds wonderful.
you just mix it all up, and then you put the dumplings on top, and then you cover it and bake it for like 20-30 minutes, and then you take off the top and you cover it in like sesame seeds and crispy chili bake, like the one with the old Chinese lady is the only one you're allowed. Hi, Autumn.
That sounds like a baked version of soup that we make a lot. It's got a similar curry base, but it's got the dumplings in there with vegetables and whatnot. But baking it sounds interesting.
It was surprisingly good because if you bake it with the cover on, we're talking about Trader Joe's dumpling bake. If you bake it with the cover on, it steams it a bit, so it's nice and soft. And then you could actually take the cover off and put it in for an extra few minutes, 5 minutes, and then it crisps up the top of the dumplings, but keeps them like nice and soup dumpling at the bottom. And then spoon it onto your fresh rice. Yeah. Did you bring tea with you, Autumn?
Brought tea in my favorite mug.
What type?
It's just Irish black tea from Twinings. Yeah. But my mug has a story that
Tell us their story.
It says, "This is Christina's Hallmark Christmas movie watching mug." I don't know any Christinas and I don't like Hallmark. Amazon sent this to me and I tried to send it back and they're like, well, it has your labels on it. So, and I received the mug with my kids' pictures on it too. So I don't know what Christina got. She didn't get her mug, but I love it.
That is a good story.
Yes.
I had cookies, but the kids ate all of them too.
That is how it goes. Oh, this smells amazing. I think it's the chocolate. I mix and matched a bunch of teas and brewed them. And this is my milk in a Timmy's cup, as you do. It pours so well. And I didn't want to risk, for anyone who hasn't seen it before, this is the Chaos setup. This is a kotatsu. Underneath the table is a heater. And so you just you stick your feet underneath and you are happy and hot. And in the summertime, it traps all the cold. So you can turn the heater off and then you're nice and cold. Also,
one of those bad
fantasy books, because cozy fantasy is life. And I wanted something I could be like, oh, it's slow. Let's talk about a random book. Yeah. Husband, would you like what did I make him?
You made him chocolate chai.
Yes, please.
That sounds good.
Coffee flavored tequila.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. You are allowed here.
I think 5's good. I figured I'm not pushing authors to come on because it's nice to have 3 to 5. And then as things kind of go in, I don't even know what's next. There's Kindle Trends. Kindle Trends must be next because I just talked about how it was next. Yes, apparently cozy fantasy is now a tag, it's an actual thing.
Category. Yeah,
it's a category on Amazon.
But is it for ebook still, or is it just for
just print?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because when we did our new one last month, I was able to put it in the paperback, but there was no ebook.
Yeah. When I put up Social Sorcery, I was like, oh my God. I got so excited. But then I saw it on the print one, and then I went, how did I miss it on the ebook one? So I went back and no, it wasn't there. And it made me sad. But
my guess is it'll be coming soon though, because cozy's kind of the wave. So
yeah, well,
it's on Audible actually.
Is it?
Because my husband's been listening to a bunch of the books too, and he's like, "Is this one really cozy?" Because he saw it on Audible.
Yeah.
There is one of the things that was interesting when Nat came to me and we were talking about doing the panel is we opened all of the Kindle Trends books that said they were cozy. And right now, I think it's a decent amount of things that have been considered cozy. But earlier in August, end of August, early September, it was not. There was 20 or more. I want to say about 20. Of the top 200 that were straight murder mysteries. They were just cozy mysteries.
Mysteries,
And but people said they were cozy fantasy because the murder mystery involves a vampire. So it's paranormal cozy mystery. And now there's like the talks, like, is it mystery? And we were talking about this earlier, where if the mystery doesn't involve murder, or if the murder is old, I want to say, like, let's say you're having you're having a grand old adventure with a bunch of D&D style adventurers, and you go through a city and they're like, okay, but who murdered the guy on your way through could be a cozy fantasy. Or if you're like, who spikes the punch is a mystery. But I don't want to say horror. I want to say suspense. If the suspense is not cozy,
suspense is just, it's hard to do suspense cozy. I don't. Well, they're opposite. Like you're trying to like amp up someone's like.
Yeah, funny you should mention it. Our second book, our latest book, Desserts for the Deserter, has a murder in it, and the book is primarily concerned with whodunit, but I still think it's pretty cozy.
Yeah, and it doesn't meet all the standard beats of a cozy mystery or anything like that. I mean, it is a cozy fantasy that just happens to have
a murder in it,
driving part of the plot. So yeah.
I'm trying to think.
We were talking about that. I can't remember who I was talking about it with, but a whole bunch of like police procedurals on TV are cozy mysteries. I think, like Psych. I have a love-hate relationship with it, but the show is cozy. I mean, it's my comfort show too, but it's also cozy because it's like character focused, and well, they don't have a whole ton of growth. They have some growth through the episode, not one to the next. So like, I think you could have a murder or two and a serial killer or two and still be really cozy.
I was just thinking, I was like, do I know it? My second book in the I Ran Away to Evil series is the two main characters are the general of the Dark Lord's army, who is a beast man who can go from full beast to full man form, but usually spends most of his time in that medium form where he's he's like a beast man. Now, he got really, really, really obsessed and fell madly in love with the music of this one musician. And so he went out in his human form to just go to a concert, practically because he was strong-armed to do it, and just became a diehard fan overnight, changed his whole personality. Now on the weekends, he's turning into human form and sneaking out of the kingdom to go to shows. Nobody recognizes him because he's not in his giant, beastman form. And throughout the first book and the second book, there has been a series of international assassinations where people have been killed or almost killed, but illegally. And there are legal assassinations in my world. Like, you're legally allowed to assassinate anyone on the High Council or who is of a certain level. They're fair game. But you're not allowed to murder specific types of people like commoners or your general civilians. And someone has been using substances that are illegal to assassinate with and assassinating illegal assassination targets. And what they discover is that all of these assassinations have happened around the time that particular bard was having a concert in that particular kingdom. So he is summoned by the Dark Lord, and he's like, we really think that it might be this individual. Can you go and see? Because she's in our kingdom right now. And he's like, absolutely, because I need to prove it's not her. Obviously, my bard would not be the assassin. And so the whole book has the behind-the-scenes mystery of who's murdering all of these people, but it's cozy because it's actually just following him. Husband, something's weird. Fix it, husband. Yeah. So there's like, it's a murder mystery, but all the murders happened in other countries in previous books, and it's mostly just him trying not, because he shows up in his Beastman form to follow her, because she also knows him in his Beastman form, but she doesn't know that he is also the leader of her fan club, who has been holding all of her fan concerts in human form. And so he's like, this is fine. We're just going to ride a wagon together to the next event professionally, and I'm going to keep my tail in order. So I guess, murder and mystery, but very
Well, I love how all of the murder in your book, though, is fine because everyone can just be brought back. Like, oh, they died. Oops.
Revive. That's what I always say. Yeah.
I love it when I come into a random conversation happening.
Hi, Elaine. What are you drinking? And Adrian, you both, is it Adrian?
Adrian is fine.
Perfect. Adrian and Elaine. Adrian first, because you popped. Wait, Autumn, did you tell us what you're drinking?
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
you did.
She did.
Black Irish.
I did.
Okay.
I had the whole cup story.
The
Yes,
cup
you did.
story.
Adrian, what are you
Awesome.
drinking?
I am drinking a dragon chai.
Ooh.
I don't know how
Is
it's
it
dragon
made out
chai
of real
and how it's different than
dragons?
normal chai. Maybe the dragons made the chai. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what it's called, is dragon chai.
It sounds fabulous.
And spicy. And Elaine.
I've got Lady Grey, although it has a different name these days, apparently. Whatever it's called now, I don't know. But
Lady Grey was too sexist, maybe.
I don't know. Some tea shop guy told me that. He's like, it's not Lady Grey anymore. I was like, okay.
What is the feminine version of an earl? Viscountess is count.
No, Viscount's much lower.
That's a good question. What would be lady? Maybe just lady. That may have been why it was Lady Grey, Earl Grey, and Lady Grey.
Maybe Earl S. I don't know.
Yeah, I've
Help
never
me,
heard of
Google
Earl.
Sensei.
Yeah.
Equivalent.
I love me a London
Earl.
fog, which is made with Lady
Countess.
Grey and
Yeah,
So
London Fox. So good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, London fogs are great. We have the Victoria fog with lavender.
Ooh.
ooh,
Is this like live, like anyone can watch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're live on YouTube right now. Anybody is watching? How many people are watching?
If you
need my
on the right
emoji.
side of your screen, you should have a thing that says comments. If you click on that, you can see what the people on YouTube are saying.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I've been trying to chat
Oh.
to practice for later.
that would have been great to know during our actual thing. Whoops.
Chronicles of Natalie. Apparently, Earl in the British peerage system is the equivalent of a count in the rest of Europe. That's what I read.
Ah. So Countess.
Yes, Countess is the equivalent.
Contessa?
Is a female Earl.
Or Contessa? What's a Contessa then? Is that a countess?
Yeah, that's
or-
a countess in Italian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In Canada, we call the Viscounts Viscounts.
Mhm.
But in American, it's Viscount.
Really?
Yeah, there's like a
Viscount?
difference. I've always called
I say Viscount.
is I've always called it Viscount,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
I've
So
never
when you-
called it Viscount.
When you hire a narrator, you have to specify it is the British Viscount. I think a lot of us know it's Viscount because we are in fantasy.
Oh, I do
Oh,
watch
okay.
a lot of British stuff. Yeah.
Maybe that's it because I'm like
I don't know.
never heard of Viscount.
I'm picturing a Viscount furniture store now.
Viscount.
Yeah. Hi, R. What would you like us to call you? Because you have
R.
R.
R works. My name is,
Nicholas.
but RL Medina is my pen name. I wasn't sure what to put on the display name. I'm like, are they gonna allow me in if they don't know it's me?
I was tempted to share this link live. I mean, we only have 25 viewers.
Hi,
Well,
everyone.
maybe don't. Jolly's like, don't do it. Don't do it. You never
That's
know
a lot
what's
of
on the
people.
internet.
They're probably other authors anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is our casual everybody break to go get lunch, drink your tea. I'm not gonna eat breakfast or lunch because that sounds like when I am not running a convention, I will eat.
I was so hungry after that beginners panel. Like I couldn't eat beforehand. And then afterwards I was like,
Yep.
Same.
I like this casual atmosphere that I can handle.
And trying to balance the stay hydrated enough while you're in it, but not too much that like 3/4 of the way through you're like dying because I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, RL, what's up?
Oh, can you hear me? Is my mic
Yeah.
working?
We can hear. What are you drinking?
I'm on my phone. It's yerba mate.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's, my go-to when I don't have time or energy to brew it.
That's so cool.
I got to ask Elaine, what's your critter?
Oh, he's a little red panda.
Oh,
Thank you.
I got my appa.
You have an appa too? I have an appa.
That's my
Oh, yeah, a little snow leopard.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, my emotional support.
I don't have a comfort stuffy right here.
We're not neurodivergent at all.
No.
I love it.
Talking to a cozy fantasy author last year, and she looks at me and she's like, "Oh no, I am neurotypical." And have you ever panicked? You're viscerally panicked when you're talking to someone and being like, "Are you sure about that?"
Book Dragon asked if anybody's met in person, or are we all just virtual?
I think we're all. I think
I've
we're all.
virtual
not met
buddies.
anyone here.
Yeah.
I've met that guy next to me in person.
I'm pretty sure I don't
So
exist. I think I only exist in virtual space, so no.
You're all AIs.
I would love to meet in person, but
Yeah,
not yet.
that would be awesome.
Someday.
I met
Maybe
Casey
for-
briefly. Hi, Casey.
Were you guys at the Seattle
here.
So Worldcon, yeah.
Worldcon? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I appear to be something.
Ooh.
It's nice to see everybody's faces. I've seen your names all over Discord, but
I appear to be.
I'm having so much trouble putting the Discord picture to everybody's face.
It's so funny. I only learned like after Worldcon how many people I know virtually were there that I managed not to meet up with. Like I met a lot of people at Worldcon, but like none of them were the same people I knew from virtual spaces. And I was like, it's like the two worlds just kind of didn't cross.
Did you go to my dad's panel? I feel like
No, I didn't go to your dad's panel, but I met him in the vendor hall.
Yeah. I just saw him in the vendor hall. I didn't learn until afterwards that he was
Yeah,
your dad.
same. It was like 2 days later when I saw Misty's message being like, by the way, guys, you go say hi to my dad. And I was like, I talked to him.
He's a Ren Fair performer who's also done like 40 years as a knight in Ren Fairs in the SCA. And he did a panel on realistic authors writing realistic armor expectancies. So it's like, this is how armor actually works. This is how silent armor is. This is how loud armor can be. And it's like, he just went through the whole thing of like, let's not talk about fantasy art. This is what real armor is. And he pulled out all of the armors and did all the things. And it's like,
He looked like the kind of guy who might do that. So
which Ren Fairs does he do? Like East Coast or West Coast, or
he runs the Seattle Washington Shakespeare Festival and does around there, but he gets hired for like good money to just fly around the United States performing.
Nice.
I was going to ask, are there Ren Fairs in Canada?
I ran one.
You ran one. You ran the restaurant too.
3 this year.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love them.
I think more are popping up now that the border is semi-closed. Yes.
Some good things will happen. Some.
No, let us in.
Yeah. Yes. I would be lovely to host a cozy fantasy convention in person.
That'd be so cool.
Day. I'm thinking what we might do is if I go to one of the big conventions in the next few years, like the Toronto Comic-Con, or if things open up a bit and we go back down to Dragon Con or Worldcon comes up this way again, we can host a cozy fantasy meetup, which I think would be a great first start. Yeah, I have definitely LARPed in Europe So like just LARP in the UK. UK and LARP is amazing. And
yeah, maybe if there's any castles available or cottages like that.
Like, yeah.
Susan and I were at a convention recently in San Jose or in the Bay Area. Susan, which con was that?
Baycon.
Baycon, which was an ASFIC?
It was the WesterCon. It was WesterCon and Baycon put together.
And there was a cozy meetup sort of, and they actually had a cozy fantasy panel. They had a whole panel, and so we got to meet a lot of the other authors that are on the West Coast that showed up. That was a lot of fun. So yes, I highly encourage you guys to set this up.
That would be awesome.
If you are a cozy fantasy or lit RPG, which is the other big one in the cozy fantasy genre, and you're going to a convention, you should definitely reach out and chat. Like, I know because cozy fantasy is so big but has only a couple hundred authors, you can oftentimes arrive at a convention and find yourself on panels, which is really cool. So
yeah. Does anybody here live in the Bay Area?
Not anymore.
I did, but not anymore.
Yeah, we're
a short 8-hour drive from where we are. I know, I've done it like a million times.
Oh, we did it to Baycon. We drove up to Baycon, so.
I think it would be funny if a Cozy Fantasy Con was actually not held in a giant convention center. It was just held in some hotels, like front living room.
Some quaint little village somewhere. Yeah, I think
a large bed and breakfast. Like,
yeah, itself is just a series of flash mob chapters where everybody's coming over a living room, and it's just 10 people. Just times
that works a lot better. Like having helped run some in-person cons, the problem is the like more kind of like retreat spaces are just like a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Like not only the space, but even getting to the space is more expensive. Like the advantage of the city ones is that like they're always near airports and public transportation exists, and there's plenty of cheap hotels and stuff.
Yeah, it's like not as big as a con, but slightly more than a book club. Like middle there. That's the vibe anyway.
Well, I like it virtual because my house is cozy.
Like finding a amenable bookstore that has like a speaking space, or like, you know, a room at a library.
Yeah, there's I went to a fantasy ball, a like full hardcore fantasy ball, and it was at one of those old gentlemen's societies where the building's 150 years old and everything is like pillars and stone archways and everything's so easy to decorate, and all of the food is catered and the wine it floweth, and then they have the actual small like gentleman's boardroom size ballroom, and so I've definitely been looking at that because there is one in Vancouver, which is a nice, like usually one single flight to Vancouver. There's also one on my island, but it's harder to get people to the island because you have to fly to Vancouver and then pop over to Victoria. So it's like an extra 2-hour flight.
Yeah, there's going to be a con in Victoria next year. That's like romantasy based. I will.
Bonded and Enchanted, I think. That's the one? Or just poke me.
I'll ping you.
Yeah, if you guys come, I will find you places and take you out for dinner if you want to come.
Nice. Yeah, Victoria is just like, it's like just a little bit annoying to get to from the Seattle area. It's like a 4-hour drive / a flight that's like just enough of a hassle to like not be easy to do.
Yep. Absolutely. I love Victoria.
To meet up there so that we could do high tea together. It was there's like a million places to do high tea in Victoria.
We have every kind. We have Japanese high tea and Scottish high tea and British high tea and Victorian high tea, and we have like modern high tea as well as fusion high tea.
Yeah, we did like a vegetarian high tea. Yeah, but it was still more like British style where you have the tiered thing with the scones and the sandwiches and
Sorry, that is funny as fuck. I just watched it. I'm watching Supernatural for the first time. It's okay. I already know the ending. I'm in season 7, and they go to some town that's like filled with nothing but psychics and shucksters and consters, and you're describing a town that's got like every kind of high tea, and this like town in Supernatural has like every kind
of psychic.
Please tell me that's in a book somewhere.
All right, I am
it
going.
Seems like there must be like a paranormal cozy that is just like the town where everybody's a psychic.
Like there's a high tea where everyone has blue hair and jump ropes, and like that's all I'm hearing.
I'm going on a Canadian high tea tour now. That is on my to-do list.
Yeah, a friend of mine who lives in Western Massachusetts keeps inviting me to do like the ice cream tour of Massachusetts.
Ooh.
Because apparently they're in like a more rural area, and they just have like all these like independent local creameries, and they're just like, come in the spring or summer, and I was just like I'm like the heart eye emoji right now. just like, yes, ice cream tour of the Northeast.
Well, I was going to say my husband and I actually are nomads, and we travel all over. So, especially the West Coast. If anyone's on the West Coast, then let me know, and we can totally drop in and say hi, probably. Yeah, you two are. Nice. Yay.
Hands going up.
Yeah, we go up on the Oregon and Washington and Utah area a lot.
Okay.
The Northwest is chock-a-block with writers. It's just wall-to-wall writers.
I mean, Washington's my dream state that I want to have.
It's a lovely place to live.
It's fantastic. I used to live there.
I grew up there, and I'm working very hard to get back. It's about 18 months and counting. So,
so close.
I finally got back here in 2022. I was down in Las Vegas for a long time, but finally came back home to Washington.
At least the nice thing about being in Vegas is you're so close to the 20 books to 50K.
Yeah.
So
I'm going
big.
down there again in November this year, but yeah, it's easier when it's down there when I live there.
Yeah, I really want there to be like a dedicated like romantasy ball event in the Seattle area, and so far there's not.
Just come to ours.
Does Emerald?
There's so many romance bookstores opening up in the Seattle area. Though.
Yeah.
Like that new one in Tacoma just opened. I can't remember.
I just learned that one opened like 20 minutes from me earlier this year and had no idea. Somebody pinged me on Discord to be like, do you know about this? And I was like, another one? It's so close.
They just keep popping up. There's one real close to me over that opened up recently in Mill Creek.
That's the one. Yeah. Wait, you're near Mill Creek? I'm in Redmond.
I'm in Bothell.
Oh, okay.
Like right on the edge of Mill Creek.
Okay, yeah. My mom used to live in Bothell.
Okay, yeah, I used to live in Bothell actually when I first moved in with my husband.
I'm North Bothell, right by Mill Creek, so like it's just like
you're like right there.
Yeah.
Where is that around Bellingham? I know where Bellingham is.
So it's south of Bellingham
way south of Bellingham.
It's
Bellingham's
much
up
closer
by
to
the
Seattle.
border.
Oh, okay.
Bellingham is like 2 hours from Seattle.
Yeah, north.
Yeah, but it's only like an hour or so from because it's an hour to get to Seattle from my place. So
yeah, so it's like there's Seattle, and then there's a lake, and then there's the east side, and Bothell is kind of like on top of the lake.
Yeah.
So it's still like pretty close to Seattle.
Oh, cool.
I feel
lived
in
in Renton until the pandemic.
Hey, another person from. Have all of us lived in Washington?
I was in Everett during the pandemic.
I am a spoiled Southern California girl. I mean, when water falls from the sky, it's very strange for me. So,
okay, so I'm originally from California, although the Bay Area. And when I decided to move to Seattle, like everybody I knew was like, it rains there, right? And I was like, do you see any melanin in this complexion? Like I'm moving there on purpose. I can burn in about 5 minutes. California and our climate are not suited.
What you're actually not seeing on the live, people watching, is that each of these people live next door to each other. Stay tuned when we go to next week's street.
I'd love to go for a visit, but I couldn't live there. I need the sunshine. I need to see the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, I am totally happy with it being overcast year round.
Yeah.
It's like it being like basically like warm outside, but there's no sunshine for me to burn in is like my perfect weather. Like
It's actually wonderful
I absolutely
outside today because it's just gray. Like I look out the window and it's just gray and it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful
it's not
gray
raining.
autumn.
I agree.
You know? Yeah,
Guys,
like
you
I
guys
need
is
to
why
wear a
I'm-
sweater, but that's fine.
You guys
Yeah,
gotta
this is
stop
why
giving
I'm
my husband ideas.
nocturnal.
Yes, you got to stop giving my husband ideas. I was going to say
Yeah,
he would love it if we moved to someplace
I
like that.
would love it, but like I said, I fixed it by becoming asleep in the daytime.
I like this. I always say I have summer affective disorder. Like I absolutely hate the sun and the heat.
So I have a 3-year-old now, and so like, because I used to be able to be like, it's fine, there's sun outside, like I can just read a book inside. But like now I have a child who's like incredibly energetic and like needs to go to playgrounds and bikes and stuff, and it's just like, oh god, all this. Where is all the sun? I have sun lotion stationed in like multiple places throughout the house.
Did you see Australia's sun lotion post? Highly recommend checking it out because it's Australia. A bunch of scientists decided to test all of the sunscreens to see which are
Actually
are they
effective.
actually 50 proof?
Yeah, most
They
of them are.
tested 20 of them that said 50 SPF, and one of them was 4 SPF. And
Yeah.
one of them was 76 SPF, which I think was La Roche-Posay was the fancy one. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading because most of the ones that are say that they're over 30 are like not actually over 30.
Most 20s.
Yeah, most of them are like not more than 15.
I really like the the videos on YouTube where they also test the spray versus the lotion versus the stick.
Yeah.
Put it under like a UV light and show you how inconsistent they are. I'm like, vindication. Vindication.
Well, and I also learned because when you're not supposed to put sun lotion on babies, and then when you start being allowed to put it on children, like they really recommend zinc ones, which have the mineral in them that like is like an actual physical barrier. But a lot of people don't actually like zinc because it makes you like look ashy and stuff. But like anyway, like sun lotion's like a whole rabbit hole.
I'm in Florida, so we constantly sunscreen.
Yeah.
Do the mineral one, but
yeah, I would die. I'm gonna visit Florida for like a week, but it'll be February, so I'm hoping that'll not be the worst of sun lotion.
I mean, it'll be January is usually our coldest month, so February could be, but yeah.
I don't have any concept of Florida geography, but it's Coastal Magic Con in Daytona. I don't have, if that's anywhere near close to you, we should say hi in person.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, Daytona's like maybe 45 minutes for me. So
okay, that's a drive, but it's not like Florida's such a long state. I was like, I have no idea if I'm going to be suggesting like 6-hour drive or something to you.
Yeah, no, I'm driving. Yeah, Florida's such a long state. Everything's spread out, so.
Yeah, I used to live in Japan, and I used to have to explain to my students that, like, because they'd be like, "Oh yeah, like can you just like drive to New York?" And I was like, "The state of California is about the same size as the entire island of Honshu, so like getting to New York is like a bit more of a trek, and also we don't have bullet trains, so
Sadly.
just kind of like." And like some of my friends in Europe who are like, yeah, I just like drive an hour and I'm over the border into another country. And I'm like,
Yeah.
in most of the US, you can't do that.
That's true.
There's been a lot of comments and dialogue in the chat as we were talking about conventions and meeting spaces and in real life, and a lot of really obviously fantastic arguments of why the online space is so helpful for the disability community.
A lot of conversation about accessibility, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's really why the two have to go hand in hand. Like if your events, and Misty and Jolly, you've done a fantastic job. Can I just take 2 seconds to say incredible work on making it both like real time, but also accessible later for people in different time zones and with different accessibility ability to get to those things.
And also the fact that it's free, because like cost for a lot of these in-person events
Cost
is just such a barrier.
Huge barrier. Yeah.
Like I'd love to do more in-person events, but like travel costs money. You know, getting a table at a con costs money. And that's also like it costs time that we can't necessarily afford to spend away from our jobs and children and all of that. So like,
Yes.
But also I want to go to a fantasy ball every week. So like
legit. We definitely were happy to, especially since we live on a tiny island in the Pacific. It's nice to not have to leave to host big things. One of the other things is we looked at one of our biggest things is that if we ever wanted to charge money to go to something like in person or something big, and we talked about it, especially when the costs of this came out to like a couple $100, and we're like, well, it's going to cost me $200 to drive off the island. That's how much the ferry costs. So it's not really a big deal for us. But we are very adamant that if you're charging people to come to your event, you should be paying your panelists. You should be paying authors to come out. We've definitely had people approach us with different options where they're like, what if we had a fantasy marketplace and all of the vendors were hosted and helped? And I'm like, it's nice just to have something super straight, super easy, free for everybody. And I actually had one of those moments where we made the newspaper. I'm like, I don't want to force people to join my email newsletter. Like, nobody wants to join email newsletters.
I do. It's so much better for me to actually know when your books are coming out.
Okay.
I cannot be trusted to see your social media post.
Yes, that is true. I definitely am on like 4 people's newsletters, but I worried. I was like, I don't want to force people to, I have personally joined many newsletters to get their free panels or their free conventions. And I was like, we're going to do this the hardest way possible, which is have a newsletter and post to Reddit for free and just host it on YouTube for free. And people can come at it from any walk of life, anywhere, and then it'll be saved and everything will be great. At some point, we're going to answer those questions, you guys. I'm sorry. Annie, Amy, Erica, and Red Karen, they will be answered.
I feel that also. We've just lost Karen, who's also doing one, but I'm now running a Cozy Fantasy Book Blast, and like we're not doing affiliate links or anything like that. It costs me money to like buy the domain and to get the logo and stuff, but it's a couple $100, and like we're also not doing a newsletter because I don't want to like add barriers to access, right? The whole point of the Book Blast is to lift everybody up and for it to be like a free way, so that because so much of publishing is pay to play, but this is a way that we can all like leverage each other's lists without like for something that's relevant to all of our readers. And I love those ways that we like as a community can like combine like our own efforts and like everybody can help everybody. And as a yay access.
Yes, definitely access.
And I love the fact that it's all recorded so we can time shift if necessary, because I can't actually watch this whole weekend live. Like this evening, I have to go out because I've got an event, but I can still watch those later, and I will. So.
We have some questions. I will go with the easiest one first. Do any of you voice dictate?
I've tried, but it just
Go ahead, Susan.
Talk to Gabrielle Landy. She dictates all of her books now. I cannot. That's not fair. In fairness, I haven't tried, but like I know that I think with my fingers, like my writing brain is in my fingers. Like I know it wouldn't work for me.
Okay, you're talking about dictating the actual text of the book. You're not talking about something like reading the book for audiobooks, right?
No, this would. I'm assuming voice dictation. They said use voice dictation. So
Okay, then
yeah.
I read the book to edit, but I definitely don't like dictate it. No.
Yeah, I definitely read aloud to edit. What genres like romance or mystery, etc., have kind of established beats to this? Oh, sorry. Other genres have beats. Do you think cozy fantasy has beats as well, or is it more that cozy fantasy is a feeling?
Cozy fantasy has vibes.
Vibes. The
Vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, just like horror is a vibe, suspense is a vibe, cozy is a vibe. The Princess Bride is 100% action 99% of the time. And even when the kid, if you're watching the movie, even when the kid is sitting in his bed, he's sick and he's usually fighting it and, you know, questioning things. But that is such a cozy movie because the vibe is lighthearted and whimsical and funny. There's a torture scene and it's
still cozy. Yeah.
There's a death. He's only mostly dead.
We had a discussion at BigCon about what is cozy fantasy. And I mean, I contend that John Carter of Mars, the original Edgar Rice Burroughs, is kind of cozy. I mean, he had a dog, you know, he was all about making friends with the Martians, you know. Now, it's been 30 years since I read the books, so I may be remembering the cozy parts and not the other parts. But yeah, I think you're right. I think cozy is a vibe, it doesn't have beats like other stories.
And I think you can layer beats on, like pick your beat set that you like. Like if you want beats for pacing, then pick one that you like to, you know, use, and you can, but like that's not what makes it cozy. The coziness comes from
and this is, you know, like when I write like fantasy, I'm not using like a fantasy beat sheet, but that's not to say that there isn't still story structure. Like it still has the inciting incident and the midpoint and, you know, the dark night of the soul and whatever. But I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit because I think this question came up on one of my panels earlier, but I don't think cozy fantasy has beats. I think it is that are specific to cozy fantasy. Like cozy mystery has beats for sure. Cozy fantasy is guided by your narrative outlook, which is how you shape the vibes. But mystery has beats because that's like the defining features of like what makes a genre. Like the defining feature of mystery is the plot, right? And so it makes sense that has beats. Romance arc beats tend to be, but since the defining feature of cozy fantasy is vibe, like vibes don't have beats.
I was gonna add on to that. That's totally agree with that. I'd say my cozy fantasy does have beats, but instead of a drum beat, it's more like a heartbeat. It's just
right. And all stories have beats. It's just there's not like a cozy fantasy genre.
There's no template.
Yeah.
I will find the same beats across cozy fantasy.
I will say that we do have a trend though, and the trend is a trope, which is that the very first 2 chapters are uncozy. They're like the established level of uncozy. And I've seen this in about 10 different cozy fantasies I've read, including my own, where it's like, look at this unpleasant situation. It's okay because now the rest of the book is cozy.
Okay, I disagree. Because not that you can't have dark stuff. I think you're right that there is usually dark stuff at the beginning, but I think the outlook is still cozy because you are establishing that this is a person who is going to be working towards their healing, and you're establishing compassion right from the beginning. This is something that Sarah Beth Durst actually talked about on our panel last year at Hearthcon, because I was asking her okay, you're starting your book in the middle of a revolution, the building is burning down around them, how are you still making this feel cozy? And she said it's that people are still caring about each other, that they are still demonstrating and showing compassion even in the midst of this. And that is how you establish from the get-go that this is going to be a cozy story, even when there are events happening that are not cozy.
Yeah, it was funny. Someone was talking to me about my first book the other day, and I was talking about how I don't do killing in my books, and they're like, the entire first chapter of your book has a lot of killing. And I was like, oh, right. That's right. It does.
Oh, right. Those people actually died, didn't they? Ooh.
I forgot about that part. Yeah. But then we move on really quick. My second book didn't start dark, though. So it was different. But
it's like saying The Hobbit's cozy, and they're like, oh, right, but there's war and a dragon. And
well, and I think there's also, I'm thinking of S.L. Rowland's books here, Cursed Cocktails, Curses and Cocktails.
Oh, yeah. Cursed Cocktails is the
there's Curse and Cocktails and some combination in there. And one of the things that I think's helped establish it from the beginning, even though like your character's not happy in the beginning, he's not in a good place, is that it's very clear that we're not staying there, that he is moving away from it. Like, he's going to make choices for himself towards his own healing, and you're establishing that at the beginning, so you're not like wallowing in the darkness because you're already shifting the focus onto the future.
Very much.
I think too that everyone has kind of their own definition of what cozy is, so it's really hard to all agree. You know, so for one person that might be cozy, to another person, you know, that's not they wouldn't consider that cozy. So I feel like there's flexibility there too, you know, as long, like you said, like as long as we know we're moving out of the darkness, I feel
well, and I definitely also want to agree with Misty, because I do think it's important to establish that darkness exists in the world, or else the cozy proposition like doesn't feel satisfying at the end. Like it doesn't feel like you've earned your healing if there's nothing to heal from.
No light without darkness.
Which I feel like is important, because like I see some people saying that like you can't have stakes in cozy fantasy, and like that's just not true. And that's not how stories
They're just very personal stakes. I don't.
Yeah,
exactly. And like slice of life exists, but that's like it's not the same thing as cozy. There's overlap. But
there is. And as a matter of fact, since you mentioned slice of life, I'm going to bring up another anime trope called Iyashike.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah, I love Iyashike.
I figured you would know this since you own a kotatsu, but there's a lot of overlap between cozy and Iyashike, which is often referred to as healing anime. There are stories where someone, you know, leaves a very stressful life behind and finds that thing that opens their soul and heals them. And sometimes they're low stakes, sometimes they're high stakes, but they always have to do with the the sort of healing that a person goes through when they turn inwards and focus on themselves.
So that's what I'm writing. Okay.
The translation tag on Iyashike is heartwarming. It's like a heartwarming fantasy. And I wish more of the Iyashike subgenres were in Western literature. If anybody is looking for more tropes that are 100% cozy, that have not been explored yet, but are very, very popular, there's a genre of Iyashike called Mofu Mofu, which is the onomatopoeia sound of cuddling something fluffy. And it's just the like petting. It's just the cuddles. It is having like a big one in Japan is people becoming animals. So like I died and reincarnated as a snow fox, or I died and reincarnated as a slime, or but there's a whole genre where it's like I died and reincarnated as someone who asked God for the ability to be loved by animals. And then it's just them waking up in a fantasy world where their superpower is that they want a slice of life, no drama, countryside lifestyle where they can just talk to animals and fantasy creatures love them. And the stakes are that like more powerful fantasy animals keep falling in love with them until eventually they have like a dragon who lives on next to their farm, and the stakes are like the kingdom is just confused and doesn't know what to do about it. And
there's like a whole subgenre of isekai, because like a lot of isekai is like the fantasy is like I was really great playing video games and now I can be awesome in real life. But there's also the subgenre that's overlapping with what you're talking about, where it's like the people who get reincarnated and they're like, and now I have a chance to live a fulfilling life after, you know, I had like a horrible like salary job and had no love or whatever, and like now I get a do-over, like starting fresh. But I was reading one, I'm forgetting what it's called. It's like the Savior's Bookstore or something.
The Savior's Bookstore, yeah.
And like I love it because she like rule games the like god or whatever that's incarnating her in this new universe to establish a power where she has her own bookstore that like, and she'll never have to like work for like food or anything else or like buy books or anything, that they like come by magic. And so she's like, all right, like I was like a tax accountant or something. And so she like works out all of the like things she needs to like never have to worry about like like survival things instead, and can just like hang out in a bookstore and read new books constantly for the rest of her life. and and then there's a plot also, but like it was very
right, that.
Oh, Casey, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned like slice of life and cozy fantasy and how they're like separate sometimes. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, because a cozy fantasy has to have a narrative arc, and slice of life doesn't. So slice of life can just be like a scene that can happen in any order, like nothing. The characters aren't like experiencing character growth from scene to scene necessarily, so they can be episodic. You can watch them out of order. They're just like different scenes in the life. Whereas in a cozy fantasy book, like there's a beginning and an end, and you change over the course of it.
A lot of slice of life shows are based on 4-panel comics, so they're episodic. They're really short stories. Anything you can tell in a 4-panel comic, and so you get a lot of these that get collected together into a 20-minute anime that becomes a slice of life. But you got it exactly, Casey. That's a great way to put it.
Cool. And thanks, Autumn, for spelling that.
Yes, Autumn, I wanted to address that. I can't connect to the chat, so thank you very much for spelling Iyashike for me. Also, since you talked about it, I would recommend the Aquatope on White Sand if you're looking for another Iyashike to watch.
Yeah, though the question came up when we were talking about like what fantasy world you would want to live in. And before like cozy fantasy was becoming a thing, my answer was Kakuryou Bed and Breakfast for Spirits, which is both a manga and an anime. Yes, somebody else knows it. Yes. And it's a girl who like for various reasons ends up in the spirit realm, like running like a restaurant for a hotel. But like she's like making like traditional like Japanese home cooking and using that as a method to like connect with people and build community among this like very like traditional ryokan, which is like a traditional Japanese hotel where in a world where everybody is a different kind of spirit, and it's like it's very cozy and I highly recommend it. Also, so glad so many of us. What was the name of it again? Look up Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. It's Kakuryou, Kakuryo.
I think I actually just started watching this. It's what I think it is.
Hey.
But it kind of reminds me of what's that one? Studio Ghibli. It's Spirited Away.
Yeah. Spirited Away, or Ghibli in general, it's like an interesting mix of like cozy vibes, but sometimes also like action or horror, depending on like which Ghibli.
Yeah, I don't know if I call Spirited Away cozy exactly.
No, but I would call Totoro cozy.
I feel like I have cozy vibes, but
So be warned now that you have a 3-year-old, Totoro is slightly less cozy. Like it was cozy for me, and then I had a child, and the entire end climax that May might have died in the river, and it's them like going through the river with nets to try and dredge up her body, and all they find is her shoe, but she's fine. It turns out she just was down the road, but there's like this whole section, and I've already seen the movie a million times. I know she's fine. I'm sitting there like weeping. I'm like, can't watch this again for a while.
We haven't like made it through any Disney movies because there's usually something either at the beginning, like we get like 20 minutes into The Lion King, and then she gets scared by the hyenas, and so like the Little Mermaid opens with the mermaid being chased by a shark, and she was like no part out. So like these are, but good for her for being able to say like nope, not for me.
Totally opposite.
Kiki's Delivery Service is cozy.
Love that. Yeah.
If you want a Ghibli. And what's the other one? Ponyo is fairly cozy.
Yeah.
What's that? Was it Restaurant to Another World?
Restaurant to the End of the Universe. It's if you liked Kakuryou, then Restaurant to the End of the Universe is.
I thought it was Restaurant to Another World.
Restaurant to Another World? Yes, that's what it is. Sorry, I'm getting it confused with Douglas Adams.
Yes.
There's like bartender between worlds, and there's like restaurant at the end of the world, and there's like...
Is the restaurant between worlds or
something to another world, restaurant
to another world. It's
To another
Yeah.
world.
definitely
Yeah.
Restaurant to Another World. That is the anime, and it is very cute. And it's
Okay.
the
It
one
is.
with the girl.
Yeah.
Sheep
The girl
girl.
with the horns.
So
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Restaurant at the
parents-
End of the Universe was not cozy. I don't
No,
think
that
Douglas
was
Adams was ever
Adams.
cozy.
Yeah, Kiki's Delivery Service was one of my like inspirations when I was writing my first cozy fantasy for Tea Princess Chronicles. And there's a whole digital special edition for Campfire, which was like super cool, and they like did all of the art for me. But they kept asking me for art reference. Hey, yeah, it's those. But they kept asking me for like what they'd be like, what kind of roofs do these houses have? And I was like, oh God, I did not world build that. Here is a picture of Kiki's Delivery Service. Please use this as a reference.
Yeah.
I am the kind of writer who doesn't know what anything looks like. And so if it's not like literally, if I have anything I know what it looks like is on the page, because that's as much as I figured out. And I did it because I got like halfway through the book and was like, oh, I should probably tell you what my main character looks like. Or like what somebody's wearing or whatever. But if it's not on the page, like I do not know the answer. So people will be like, I'd love to like have more information about your maps. And I'm like, great question.
I have a friend who's a fantasy artist, and my stuff drives her crazy because she wants to be able to see every detail of it, right? And I do exactly what you do, Casey. I write just enough for the story, and I don't picture it. So yeah,
I'm kind of the opposite, where I used to write. You okay? Yes, I can. I used to write everything before writing the book. So I used to have a book the size of my book with all of the characters and all of their background descriptions and their entire life history, as well as every single chapter and what's going to be in that chapter. And then I fleshed it out, which meant that I wrote with my hands. Like everything was typed out. And then I had a head injury and I lost like the English language. I lost everything. I had to relearn it all, relearn music. And one of the things I lost was that like categorizing and organizing. I had no like short-term memory as well as very, very limited long-term memory. So what I decided to do is, after I got back to writing, I decided to write as if I were reading the book. So it was 100%. I didn't know anything at the beginning. And it was all visualizing like as if I were reading someone else's book. And when I'm reading someone else's book, I do have a clear visual in my head, which then changed how I wrote everything.
No, I
did not picture anything.
And then in order to visualize things, I visualized, this is before Cozy Fantasy, I visualized everything as a Studio Ghibli movie. So all of the things I was writing was like droplets of dew that were like, and all I could think of were like the magical droplets from Ponyo and the little and Spirited Away. And
okay, I guess I do for my characters. Usually if somebody asks me what they look like, I'm like, they're an anime character in my head. Like, so I don't have like real, they'll be like, who would you cast as this character? And I'm like, I don't think in terms of like real humans. But I did also, I am very susceptible to world builder's disease, which I learned about myself early enough in my writing to learn that I cannot indulge it. And so I do the bare minimum of world building beforehand, because I finally broke myself out of this after just like a tremendously poor writing experience that would partially resulted from me having spent like a year world building this whole thing. And then like not being able to get everything and like losing track of notes. And it was just like a whole mess. And I finally was like, I'm going to start writing a book today. And I'm only going to brainstorm what happens today. And I wrote a whole book without doing any world building in advance, and then put the world building in after. Like I left the blanks that I was like, okay, this is like, I'm going to have to just figure out what the city looks like here. Like, oh, surprise, they're in a desert. I'm going to have to do some research about different kind of desert climates. And I did it all after the fact. And this was a great exercise in teaching me how to only world build what I actually need, so that I'm not then I don't have all of this extra information that I don't need. I'm not wasting my time. And I'm also not wasting the reader's time by trying to put in all the like extra stuff that I know that like you don't need, because I build from the character first rather than the world.
I love the surprise aspect of some of the writing. Like you talked about it, surprise, it's in a desert. I like that because I explore as I'm writing. I don't plan ahead of time. And so a story I just recently started, the main character surprised me because he left the house and whistled for his dog, and I didn't even realize he had a dog, but sure enough, it came bounding around the corner, and I just was like, oh, that's so cool, he has a dog.
I do outline really extensively now. The world building is just like the very smallest part of my outline, like because I only figure out enough for like what I'm actually need to make the story work, and my stories are just so much built from the character that like I'm like, okay, you know, I need to know enough to understand how they are, like what problems they have in the plot and what tools they have to solve them. Yeah. And, you know, how the world is shaping their character. But like,
I love hearing.
I don't need to know what the roofs are made of. I just don't.
I love hearing everyone's process. Like, I have no problem visualizing scenes and characters and stuff, maybe from my artistic side or something, but I don't like writing about the scenery in the world. So I'll be like, let's get back to the exciting, fun stuff. And I have a little bracket that's like, go back and talk about where the heck they are. Just because it's boring.
My husband and I are both writers, and when he knows what, like his version of like clearing his throat writing when he doesn't know what he's doing is there'll just be like incredible detail about the architecture, be describing the columns and the arches and stuff. And my version is like when the character gets like way too into their head and is like having like philosophical reflections, and I'm like, all right, that was like 2 pages of philosophizing, like tone it down, cut it down.
100%.
I'm sorry, John, I cut you off.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I have a friend who could probably use some of your advice about world building, because she does world build and world build and world build and world build, and then when she gets to finally writing the story, she feels it necessary to include all of the stuff that she world built.
Disease. Yeah.
And so it's definitely a thing for less experienced writers. That's, you know, overbuilding is a thing. It's an actual
thing. And it also just depends what, you know, there are totally readers who are in it for the world building details. I am not that reader. And so the books that I write are following my interest, right? If you're there for character, you're going to want my books. If you're there for extensive, like I actually do get a lot of credit for world building, which always makes me crack up, because people are like, there were so many details. And I'm like, haha, the power of telling details. There is nothing underneath that.
No, that's incredibly weird. I get that too sometimes. They like, there's so much great world building. I'm like, I didn't put any in.
Yeah, I'm like, psych, I got you. But like, if you know, people who read things like Malazan, who are just in it for like the little gems to like build their whole knowledge of the world, and I like can't get into those books because there's so much time with world building and not with the character.
Right.
It's very hard for me to get into. But there are people who read for that, and that's totally fine. It's just like, you know, different kinds of books, and like knowing what kind of writer you are and what kind of reader you are and what kind of genre you're in. Like if you're super into world building but you're writing contemporary romance, like that's probably not a good match. Like,
yeah, I love dialogue. Like I'll just have characters for pages. I'm like, oh god, we need to like
oh yeah, I have, well, in part because since I don't know what anything looks like, I have like such a big talking head problem. I'm always having to go back and be like, and yes, they have bodies as well, and they exist in a space, and their bodies are moving.
Right, talking head, good way to say it.
Very belatedly, I realized that this is probably like a consequence or related to autism and like disconnect from mind and body, that like I'm always just like having them have dialogue and then being like, oh, and something should be happening in the narration that is not simply like talk.
Yeah. What really helped me with that, because I had talking head syndrome too sometimes, is doing screenwriting. Because, with screenwriting, you're writing out all of the action. That's mostly actions. You can't see what someone's thinking. So you have
I had it from like the shoulders up. There was lots of shrugging and nodding and eye rolling, but like they existed like this.
Exactly.
Susan and I wrote for a radio play a couple of times, and boy howdy, that's all talking. There's almost no direction, no descriptions. There's very little, and you have to know enough to get the sound guys to do the atmosphere correct. But other than that, it's all dialogue.
I mean, there's a reason one of my favorite movies is My Dinner with Andre. If you haven't heard of it, Talking Heads.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like part of it for me actually is not from screenwriting, but from acting stuff, because you're just given, the play script is just dialogue. And so I'm so used to like, being able to put, extrapolate from the dialogue, but like, I at least know this about myself now. So I know to watch out for it. In the same way, when I was writing Tea Princess Chronicles, I literally had a note because I was writing this as a web serial live. So I posted a chapter every week. And so every week I was editing a chapter. And the first thing on my editing checklist was, did you forget about the baby dragon again? A number of times I was like, the baby dragon is in this scene and isn't doing or saying anything, which is not that baby dragon's character, because she couldn't actually like talk. Yep. And so I kept having to be like, did you forget the dragon again? How about now? So I'm not doing a familiar in this series because
I've come to realize if I forget about a character or something, then maybe I shouldn't have that character in there. Like, oh, right.
Yeah, sometimes I established that the dragon had a dragon sitter and they were not in the scene after all. But like a number of times they've just like been there and I was just like, because they weren't talking, and apparently all my brain cares about is people talking.
That's why my plants die.
One of the books that I think does body and talking very, very well is Between by L.L. Starling. I'm listening to it now, and what she does is she has specific talking points around people's bodies. Like one of the little old ladies has skirt juice where she just lifts up her skirt and pulls out a flask and drinks from the flask and then slips it back up her skirt. And then someone's like, can we never say the word skirt juice again? And someone else is like, no, that is now 100% in the lexicon. You will hear it again soon. And so just like incorporating things like that into the dialogue keeps everything so visually like aware.
Yeah,
so it's a lot less
mean that
like
I have to go back and like change the dialogue to like make sure that they are in fact interacting with their environment, because they are not actually like, virtual heads floating around in space.
Yep.
And it improves everything. It improves everything if they are in fact interacting with the environment. It is just one of my personal writing quirks that I know about myself that I always have to remind myself to be like, no, really, they also have bodies and are in a space, and the space is not just a white room.
Just make everything sentient.
I was gonna say my editor does that. That's one of her most often comments is like, okay, but like, where are we? Like, what are they doing? Like, ground us in the moment. Give us the tactile interaction. Like, tell us where they are. I'm like,
Wait, Misty, have you read Legend of Eli Monpress by Rachel Aaron? So the gimmick in this book is that all objects have spirits, and your main character can communicate with way more spirits than anyone else. So he'll like, it starts with him imprisoned, and he like talks the door hinges into opening for him. But she ends right at the end of the series when now everybody can talk to the spirits of like their cups and, their lettuce and stuff. So she never has to deal with the fact of like, how do you explain to your food that you're going to eat it? She like cuts the series off like right before that becomes a big problem that she'd have to solve.
Perfect. Yep. My
There's like 5 books in it. It's so funny. They're not cozy, but they are very light and fun. They're epic fantasy that is fun and not like wallowing in darkness. If anyone wants them, it's a complete 5-book series. Love it to pieces.
What was it called again?
The Legend of Eli Monpress. The first book, I believe, is called The Spirit Thief.
Sounds good.
If I can address a question on or a comment on the from YouTube, Angry Pixie, good point. And if you really like to travel, Susan writes a newsletter. What's it called, sweetie?
Travels, Walks, and Tales.
Travels, Walks, and
Long
Tales.
said that's the blog. That's the blog.
That's the blog. I'm sorry. Yes, Travels, Walks, and Tales, in which Susan is a quite the traveler, and so she'll talk a lot about the places she's been. And if you're if you can't travel on your own and you like to travel vicariously through other people,
Well, that's one of the wonderful things about books, and especially about fantasy books, is that you can like virtually travel and experience all of these different worlds that you can't in real life. Like, I like traveling in real life too, but it's not the same. You know, you can immerse yourself in the world and mindset in books in a different way.
I would love to travel to Middle Earth, you know. I'd love to, you know.
I probably wouldn't. It seems very
depends
dangerous.
on when.
Well, yeah, it depends on when, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe right after The Hobbit, but before, you know, anything else happens.
Just stick in Hobbiton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay in the Shire or one of the elf cities. Do they call them cities if they're in the trees?
I'd love to go to Rivendell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rivendell. There you go.
But like, I don't think I'd like the human cities all that much. They seem pretty bleak.
No.
Well,
It's kinda
during
cool to
that
see them in
during that
trees.
time period, sure, but I'd go anywhere in the first age.
And it really was dangerous.
We have a question. It was asked immediately upon the live stream opening, and then never answered. And it was, how important are covers in the cozy genre? Because it just didn't come up, so I was like, we'll just wait. But
oh, so important.
Or in a genre, but
yeah,
because you can kind of a little bit different styles, I think, than some other genres.
Well, and I think because cozy fantasy is a relatively newer genre in its current codified form, the cover trends are only just kind of starting to settle a little bit. Which is why sometimes you'll see more kinds of covers in cozy than you necessarily do in mainstream and other genres. But having a professional cover is super important.
I remember you talked about that in your experts panel, Casey, right?
Yeah.
That came up.
Yeah.
Susan, do you have our book handy? Can you show the cover that we are very proud of? Yeah, here. Either one of them, actually.
When we first started to publish cozy, there were like two different branches of cozy covers, right? There's
your background is covering the book.
Oh, sorry.
Got to put it in front of your face.
In front of your face. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at me this way either. So.
Yeah, but there's like the character art style like that, or there's the more like 2D typography style.
Yeah.
But those are really where current trends have settled.
And then I think we actually have coins for the counter is what you're talking about.
We have the other kind for the novella, but I don't. I have them in the other room.
Okay, never mind.
Well, and
that's a typeset type.
The character covers aren't like hyper realistic like they are in like romantasy. They're more semi-realistic, but
illustrative.
Yeah, the illustrated.
Yeah.
Or you get someone who worked with Studio Ghibli. So Sarah Beth Durst, this is actually really interesting. Because someone mentioned, Rebecca in the threads mentioned Sarah Beth Durst, and I was around when someone called out Sarah Beth Durst's cover as AI online, and it sparked this huge thing. But we're very lucky because Sarah's cover artist worked for Studio Ghibli and was one of the designers, and she had the full she has an online like Insta where she just hand draws everything, and she has books with all of her hand drawings, so you can see that like it wasn't AI. This is the physical copy. She draws it physically and then sends it, but it went through a filter, and the filter that just like softened the colors and highlighted the lights and then let them put the cover on top made people think that it was AI art.
People can get really are making wild claims a lot of times based on lighting. And being like, a real artist would never put a light there. Like sometimes you're putting the light there because it looks cool. Because the point of a cover is to sell the book. Like a cover is a marketing asset first and foremost. And so you can't really judge whether something is AI on a cover based on the lighting. Like there's many reasons that people will put weird lighting in weird places.
I've helped. Oh, sorry, RL.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just hate that artists nowadays almost like have to record every step. My husband, designer for my covers, and he's very much like anti-AI, and he's like, I'm not going to record myself doing this either. This is, my time. This is where I'm alone with my art. Like I don't want, to have to prove that I'm the artist. So,
well, the accusations have gone a little bit wild, and I don't support AI, but like also like we need to chill about like attacking small creators who are doing their best.
One of my friends is an author, and he got traditionally published by one of the bigger, not big five. So I'm gonna say like, Tantor, Podium, Sound Booth Theater, Portal, Royal Guard, all of these like really big names that make, that are really established, Orbit, Red Note. So one of those kinds of publishers, and because he's Cozy Fantasy, and this was starting in like the first, I don't know, like the first 200 people who published a couple of years back, knew how important it was not to be seen using AI, especially in the cozy fantasy genre and in the cozy spaces online, and very strongly stated that there can be no AI on his cover. And so the publishers were like, absolutely. They hired a cover artist. He was with them the whole way. He was with his publishers. We're very open and honest about everything. And this is the cover artist. This is where we're hiring. This is how much we're paying them. This is like everything. And he got a cover back with 2 Blizzard characters on it from the video game.
Oh
like
my God.
Straight up ripped from the video game. And he's like, I know we hired this company. I know we hired this artist. How much we paid to get real art from them. And they sent us back AI. And it's not just AI. It's like, I'm going to get
stolen AI.
Ever AI.
Yeah.
You don't mess with Blizzard. And it wasn't like generic. No, it was copy and pasted almost from a Blizzard, one of their video game. And he literally stood up and like he walked over and showed me the video game. He's like, I played this. If I didn't know, if I'd never played this video game, I would not have recognized this character. It's a very obvious character.
But readers will.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I know that there are some people who might have AI somewhere in their art, somewhere in anything, but and with Canva now using it, not only does Canva, which is our primary source of like workshopping stuff, not only does it have AI art now in it, it incorporates the AI art as its normal art. So if someone's using that AI art,
stock photography sites, unless you can have the ability to filter from like before 2022, you have to assume that anything could be AI.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's very hard to navigate. But there's like the culture of like crashing down and calling out authors or artists for AI from very specious basis is also a problem.
Yeah.
Think about who your target is. Most of us don't want to be using AI and are trying not to. I mean, at least in the cozy fantasy space, like I know other spaces, like if you're in Royal Road, like AI is very common there. Like that's like a whole different universe. Even if some of them join us in the self-publishing cozy fantasy.
I will say that we wouldn't use AI. We do actual artists for our covers, but I have to confess that the background here was from Canva, so it's probably AI. I don't know.
Just never, yeah. Denise was in the comments.
Cover, but
And it's hard because you pay monthly. Now, in the code, if you end up going, if you're an author and you're listening to this and you want to stick clear of AI, Karen from Cozy the Dayway Sale found a ethical kind of AI where all of the artists created the AI generator themselves, and all of them are paid for all instances of their AI in the art. So it's more like, if you're worried that you want to make sure that you're paying someone for their art, or if you want to go to artists that you know will be it is their own art that is getting paid for, or if you just want to look for places like Canva that are not AI art generative, we're definitely going to cover that a bit in the Cozy community tomorrow morning, especially since so many of us, don't want generative books and generative art and generative, like I was so thankful that Brandon Sanderson did a big talk on AI art and how it's incorporated, and it's a touchy topic. We all know it's a touchy topic.
Yeah. So I do want to say, like, you can still hire professional cover designers in the event that if somebody is like, hey, this element of your cover is AI, like if you go to the cover designer, it's probably an accident and they'll probably just fix it for you. There are very few things in publishing that are like, like a death sentence for your career. Like I would still recommend going to get covers. They at least in theory are not supposed to be using.
No,
rather than like, if the question is like, I'll just like do my own art. If you are not a cover artist, like if you have like the training for that, like by all means, like most of us do not. And just being an illustrator is not the same as being able to be a cover artist. So I would like highly recommend you go to a professional source to get your cover, and get covers. You can get it for $35.
Just add on to like get recommendations from other authors. So, because a lot of the newer artists, I don't want to like point fingers, but some of the new stuff, my husband is an artist, so he can kind of like see AI when I can't tell nowadays. But some of the newer artists are using AI. So look at,
there are also some established ones who have like farmed out. I know there is, I'm not going to name names here, but there is like a very like big name in romantasy book cover design who has been starting to use AI in her covers. And so most of her old clients who, have made many thousands of dollars on her covers are like having to try and separate themselves from her because they can't be associated with that.
So
it's everywhere.
Ask for Rex, and
I know. Like now, Demonza, which was one of the big indie like cover designers for a long time, has said explicitly that they are going to use AI because like they're not going to bother filtering out the stock, and they want to make sure that they have all of the stock available. And everyone's like, so.
Because it's hard if your whole job is based on AI, and let's say you use Canva to make covers. I know in the past, illustrators who exclusively made Canva covers for indie artists, and that's what they did. And Canva for the longest time was stock images. So you would go in, you would look for something that applied, you would do all of the layering, you'd create your own style of art from Canva. You'd know that you've paid for your pro, you've paid for it, you can use it. It is something that everybody can use, and there's free versions, and then there's also that you've paid and you get more access. And so now they're like, well, my entire career is knowing how to use Canva. How am I supposed to now know if that apple was AI generated or just a picture of an apple? And so there's this internal struggle. And the only real solution is to ban AI or force AI to pay the artists themselves, which then would cause them to crash and burn. Because
when your entire business model is founded on stealing, they're like, well, we couldn't be viable. And I'm like, well, then you don't have a viable business model, do you?
Yep.
One of my biggest
that's kind of a whole other conversation.
One of my biggest things with Cozy Fantasy and having actual, artists do the covers is Cozy Fantasy is all about human connection.
It is.
So if you got AI writing your book or making your covers, then you've lost some human connection there.
Right. And cozy is so much about like seeing and valuing people for who they are and what they do, and like
Right.
All right, I have to head out. I have a narrow window before my child wakes up from her nap. Good to meet all of you.
Nice talking.
Nice to meet you.
What time is it anyway? Oh,
2:30.
30.
Wow.
The Kindle Trends one is going strong.
I guess I'll rewatch it later.
I will definitely be watching it later because that's one of my
I
tops.
need community right now. I'm really enjoying it.
This is fun. This is a lot of fun. It's a great idea, Misty.
The problem with afternoon tea is what happens after you drink too much tea. Be like counting down the minutes to when I can.
See, our panel is not till 7 o'clock tonight, so I got plenty of time after this.
Yep.
Which one are you doing? What do you got going on next, Susan?
Oh,
We're doing the couples writing cozy fantasy,
The couples one.
which I think of as the pillow talk panel.
I wish I could get my husband to do books with me. Stop juggling. Do books.
Jolly and I
at the moment. Huh?
published, in a crazy way. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Oh, Jolly and I ended up publishing because I had been writing books every year since I was 12, and one of them accidentally got published over COVID because I had my head injury during that time, and there was like a bunch of stuff, and I decided that while I was waiting, I would just write songs for the world. And I was singing those songs online at online fantasy bardics. And someone's like, "Where's the song? How do I get it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's just a song from a book I wrote." And so they said, "Can I read your book?" And I said, "Sure, here's the Google Doc," like totally trusting. They could have just taken it and ran. But turns out that they worked for a publisher as a narrator. And so they metaphorically showed up to work on Monday and they're like, "You're publishing this." And that was my middle grade novel. And then, so the chaos of getting published by a small mid-press over the summer, you finish, you're done, you crash and burn because it's your first time. And I'm just like lying on the ground, like it's done, I'm over, everything's fine, finished. All of the books are signed. I can move on with my life. And Jolly looks at me and he's like, "Hey, wife, you think I could write a book?" I'm like, "Go ahead. I'm in a burnout right now. So you just have fun." And he did. And he wrote Beers and Beards. And then he was having so much fun doing it on Royal Road. And he started September, or no, might be like October 3rd or something. And in February, he was, rising stars, really popular, had like 100, 200,000 readers. And I looked at him having all this fun. And I'm like, "Husband, do you think I could write a light novel, like a web novel on the internet?" And he's like, "Do it." And that's how we.
That's awesome.
That's great.
I would love to ask you about Royal Road. Is it? I've been scared to publish on there. Is it kind of like mostly male dominated, or
Used to be.
Oh,
so I hung out. We had dinner with the owner and creator of Royal Road last summer, and he said that like before last summer, there was decidedly like, I don't know, I'm gonna throw out a number, 86% male dominated. But then recently, it's now like 60-40, 40% female, 60% male.
Oh, cool.
Now, separate from that conversation, I know that there was a crash out on Wattpad where a lot of authors yeeted themselves off Wattpad after they incorporated into a publisher and then stripped all of the how it works is like the publisher now got first dibs, and the front page where a lot of people saw their stories getting traction were no longer a front page. It was the publisher's books, and people were like, "Well, I'm not getting any interest in here." Also, you look at Dungeon Crawler Carl took off, and there's a lot of female readers for Dungeon Crawler Carl who are now following it to Royal Road. Yes, Royal Road is very interesting. Canna is lovely. Cannaja is the owner. There is more AI art on because most of the stories on Royal Road are by first-time authors who've never written anything in their life. They do not know any social norms. They do not know any of the unspoken rules of the publishing world and the publishing community, which means you get a lot of really interesting and unique stories because those stories are not structured around what we expect stories to be.
Right.
They go off on wild tangents and they have unexpected turns of events that you'd never see, right? Like one story that was Asian influenced, it was like the first few chapters you discover that the main characters parents were murdered by their uncle, except for you find out slightly, you the reader piece things together within the first 10 chapters that it wasn't the uncle. It was actually like someone else who was in charge of the uncle and had organized this entire thing. And so you're like, oh my gosh. And then I was shocked. The main character murders the uncle and the person who organized it because they also put all the dots together just like you, the reader, did. And now it's not the end of the book and the villains have been murdered. And you're like, well, now where are we going? And also, when did the good guys just go out and poison the bad guys? This is great. Like, I was not anticipating anything. So
it's very like Wild West.
It's Wild West. Now, the Royal Road does have an algorithm. We got like 5 minutes. I can just word vomit about it. Royal Road's algorithm works so that when you post, the interactions on your story are worth 1 experience point. That's like likes, comments, clicks, reads, favorites. Any interaction with your story is worth 1 experience point until you reach a magical number of word count. So it falls between 10,000 and 20,000 words. It changes daily, just to keep people, honest. And once you hit that word count, every interaction on your story is worth 4 experience points. So a lot of people will drop 10 to 20,000 words very quickly because if you drop 20,000 words in your first post, all of the comments, concerns, everything are worth 4 times the experience points. Now, those experience points put you on the lists. And when you open the front page of Royal Road, you see the latest updated chapters and the list, Rising Stars, who's the most popular today. And so when you're on the list, after you reach a certain number of words, which you'll know because as soon as you reach that word count, your actual account will show your number, right? So it'll say you do not have enough interactions to be on the lists. And then suddenly you'll be, 61,307 out of the 61,307 books that are on the list. And every second or every millisecond or every 5 seconds, the book that's above you and the book that's below you interact. So you go up the stories because you got 4 experience points, but they got 1. You can get like 100 experience points, but only go a little bit up the list because you're only interacting with the ones very close to you. So that's why you don't want to just drop 20,000 words in the beginning. You want to drop like a steady amount leading up to those 20,000 words so that you're getting interactions to push you up the list. But not enough that you're like you're burning your bridge so fast by getting 20,000 experience points, but only going from 61,000 to 60,000.
So you wouldn't want to publish the whole book at once.
Yeah, and now of those 60,000 books, 59,000 of them are inactive, right? Or I think I forget. So as long as you get 1 interaction, you're already going up the list. So you want slow and gradual interactions for the first little bit, and then you'll find yourself in the top 1,000. And then if you can get into the top 100, you're on the big lists that people click every day to go see. And if you're in the top 50, then you're into like, first or second page on Rising Stars. And if you're in the top 25, you actually make it to the front page of Royal Road. And that gets you more readers. 300,000 people click on that front page every day. So if you're on the top 25, you're getting your eyes. And we all know that people seeing your book exists is like the number 1 way. Now, this is also one of the reasons why people use AI art, is a lot of the people here are just making something pretty to put on their cover. And they're not selling it. They're not making any money off of it. The writing is the only thing that they care about. The expectation on Royal Roads and in all of the Royal Road authors servers, though, is that once you self-publish to Amazon or to somewhere else, that you are going to get a real cover and you're going to get real editing. Like, this is free and for fun, as far as free and for fun can take you. Now, the other cool thing about Royal Road is a lot of people will change their covers. So you post your cover, you see how many people you get, and then a week later you change your cover, because every time you hit, latest updates, people will see your cover. And if it's a new cover, they'll like, oh, that's an interesting cover. Two, you also want something very searchable in your tags and your lines. So if my book is called I Ran Away to Evil, it's not called I Ran Away to Evil. It's called I Ran Away to Evil, cozy, fantasy, lit RPG, rom-com. Because they do not have the ability to search for tags. They have a tag section where you click on a tag and it shows you every book in that tag. But most people will just pop up to the search bar and go, I want a cozy fantasy today. I want a lit RPG. And then, so your title will actually include all of your tags in it to help with that. It also means that when you're posting, you never want to post on the hour. Because if everybody is pre-scheduled their posts to go live at 10 a.m., you're going to get 50 people, but only 25 get to be on the front page. So whichever of those 50 are going to be on the front page of latest updates, and the other 25 are going to be on the second page. So you want to stagger it. So you'll have your post at like 10:21, right? 10:13. Then you have more likely a chance, as they refresh every few minutes, to be on the front page and get eyes on your story. And the interactions you get really do matter. So if you get people commenting or editing your books or leaving comments and concerns or reviews, really pushes you. And people talk a lot about books that they're reading. The Royal Road Reddit space is very, very kind to authors, because it's just a bunch of people who are brand new to the authoring. So you can go on and be like, hi, I'm a brand new author. I just posted my story to Royal Road on our Royal Road. Do you guys what do you think? Or I don't know if I should be changing my cover. Is this a nice cover? It's a very author to reader, very friendly community. There are parts of it that are dark. There are parts, just like anyone, there are people out there burning bridges and 1-star reviewing anything with rainbow representation or stuff, but that's anywhere on the internet. Anyway, that's my 10-minute long Royal Road spiel. Sorry.
I want to keep talking to you about it. I'll DM you or something.
I do a free 1 hour free 4 times a week scheduled Royal Road. I will tell you everything you need to know. Just message me. I love to talk about it. So
yes. Thanks. Okay. Definitely taking that panel. That's coming up tomorrow.
Well, thank you for hosting our little tea here.
Yes.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. This has been great.
Cheers. Ours will start coming in at 5:45. 5:45. You mean 5:45?
Here.
You mean right now?
It's 5:45 now here.
Oh.
It's
the bards are at 3,
time zones.
6.
Yeah.
Wait.
Time zones, yeah.
The bards are 3:45. Are now. Oh, she lives 3 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. Different time zone.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. Love you guys. I think we might close it up 5 minutes early.
Yeah. It was good talking with everyone.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.